Chapter 1: The World's Worst Police Detective. Fat, bald detective thinks that I had something to do with it. He doesn't come right out and say it. But the way he repeats the same questions over and over, like if he keeps on asking them, I might crack under the pressure. Well, it's pretty clear that I'm suspect number one. I don't know why he thinks I'm guilty, other than the fact that he's not very smart. He's not nearly as good as the cops on TV, and they're only actors. He just sits there smiling at me, waiting for me to say something more. But I don't know what he wants from me. I mean, sure, I have secrets. Big ones. The kind of secrets you take to your grave. But I would never hurt anyone on purpose, especially not Mama. I push my hair out of my eyes and look up at the clock on the wall. It shouldn't be too much longer. Maybe I can just wait him out. I look at the desk in the corner of the cramped office. It's cluttered with books, stacks of file folders, and a darkened computer screen decorated with a rainbow of post-it notes because Fat Bald Detective can't remember anything. There isn't 1 inch of clear space anywhere to be seen on his desk. It's very unprofessional. That was one of our words from the calendar, I think from last January. It's still on my wall. Unprofessional is when someone or something doesn't look or act right in the workplace. Good, Button. Now use it in a sentence, Mama would say if she was here. Then I would say something like, Fat Bald Detective's office is very unprofessional because there's crap everywhere and it smells like Fritos. That would have made Mama laugh. I could always make her laugh when we played the word of the day game. Mama says it's okay if you don't always remember the exact definition, as long as you can describe the meaning in your own words and you can use it in a sentence. Now that I think of it, there should be a picture of Fat Bald Detective's office besides the word unprofessional in the dictionary. His office is nothing like the ones in the police station on TV. There aren't any bright fluorescent lights in here or cool floor-to-ceiling walls of glass so he can see the whole department and wave someone in that moment notice, not even to yell at them. There's only one small window with a view of the parking lot, and Fat Bald Detective seems to prefer table lamps to fluorescent lighting. And although you can't smell the office of the police station on TV, I always imagine they smell like leftover pizza and cigarette smoke, not Fritos. I guess it's better than doing this in one of the interrogation rooms. At least in here, there's a couch for me to sit on before they lock me up and throw away the keys. Then it hits me. It's the couch. The couch smells like Fritos. And what happened after that, Riley? Fat Bald Detective says again. Fat Bald Detective has a name. It's Frank, he said. I could call him Frank the first time he brought me in for questioning. Mama doesn't normally approve of us calling adults by their first name, but Frank told me to, and he's the law. I figure I should probably cooperate as much as possible so he doesn't get any more suspicious than he already is. Frank actually has 3 names. They're all printed on his door and on the triangle nameplate on his desk. Grandma says that people who use 3 names are put in on airs, but I don't think Frank has any airs to put on. He's short and bald and round and looks like Mr. Potato Head without the tiny black hat. So I think Fat Bald Detective every time I look at him. I don't remember, I say. He keeps asking me what happened that day, and I keep telling him I don't remember. We played this little game for almost 4 months now. I was 10 when I started. I'm a whole different age now. I've had a birthday and a summer break since then. I even moved up a grade in school. Detective Chase Cooper on Criminal Investigation Division. Chicago can solve a case in an hour. 44 minutes if you fast forward through the commercials. But Frank would never be as smart as Detective Chase Cooper or as handsome. Frank's really not a bad guy, though. He means well, but I don't think he's ever going to crack this case. At least not before I turn 12. He's running out of time. So is Mama. Frank and his officers should be out there trying to find the perp following up on leads, canvassing the neighborhood. That's the way they do it on TV, and they always catch the guy. They don't sit in poorly lit rooms that smell like Fritos, questioning the 11-year-old son of the missing person over and over. But maybe this is just the way cops do things out here in the country. Maybe they don't watch much TV. Tell me again what you do remember, Frank says in the smiley, calm voice of his that I hate. Like I'm 10 or something, and if he talks real soft and slow, I'll spill my guts. I sigh as loudly as I can, just so my irritation is clear. Like I already said, Mama was taking a nap on the sofa in the living room. It was strange because we only used the living room for special occasions, like on Christmas morning to open presents or when the preacher from North Creek Church of God used to visit. Somehow the couch in the living room is called a sofa, and the one in the den is just a couch. The living room furniture is not very comfortable, but Mama says it's not supposed to be. Like that makes any sense. Furniture that meant to be uncomfortable? I've told Frank all that, so I don't repeat it. I've learned only to repeat the important stuff. Otherwise, Frank finds new questions to ask. I don't like new questions. Frank lays his fingers together on top of the basketball of a belly and smiles again. I don't like his smile. It looks like a plastic piece of Mr. Potato Head's face that he can pop on and off any time he wants. And where were you while your mother was lying down in the living room? I rolled my eyes at him. Daddy wouldn't like this. Be respectful of authority, he would say. Frank is just trying to help. But I've answered this question so many times. If he can't remember, then why doesn't he write it down on one of his 5,000 rainbow Post-it notes or turn on a tape recorder like they do on TV? I wonder where he went to detective school, probably one of those online courses, but poor Frank got ripped off. If Mama were here, she'd add a bless his heart. It sounds nice, but I don't think it's meant to be. I was outside playing with my friends, I say. Frank raises a bushy eyebrow at me, and when I came back inside, Mama was lying on the sofa in the living room, like I just said. And then what did you do? The world's worst police detective asks. I touch her hand to see if she was asleep. I say it like I'm quoting a Bible verse I've been forced to memorize and recite on command. Frank looks down his snap-on nose on me. And how did it feel touching her hand? This is a new one. What the heck does he mean, how did it feel? It felt like skin and Jergens hand lotion. That's how. And how is this going to help them find Mama? Why doesn't Frank ask me more about the suspicious car that was parked in front of the house that day? I told him it in the first time they hauled me down here for questioning, but he hasn't asked about it since. Instead, he's wasting time asking about me touching Mama's hand. World's worst police detective ever. She felt a little chilled, so I pulled the cover up over her hands. I didn't want to wake her, so I went back outside to play. Frank scrunches his face like that wasn't the answer he was looking for. He thinks I'm hiding something, like I'm a suspect, which is crazy because I want them to find her. I promise I do. And that's the last thing you remember, he says? Touching your mother's hand while she was lying down on the sofa, nothing else? He knows it is, unless he somehow found out about Kenny from Kentucky or the ring. Stick to your story, I tell myself. That's what people on TV who are accused of a crime always say. Stick to your story and everything will be fine. No one has actually accused me of anything yet, but they might as well, the way they all look at me, like they know I'm hiding something. Yes, sir, I say, being respectful of authority, even Frank's authority. That's the last thing I remember. Frank squints his eyes at me. Yep, he thinks I'm lying, or crazy, or both. But technically, I'm not lying. Kenny from Kentucky is long gone, and they've never asked me about the ring, so I've never told them. Besides, Daddy would blister my hide if he finds out I have it. I wonder if the ring considered evidence. Can they put me in jail for withholding evidence? I think there was an episode of CID Chicago about that. I can't remember what happened, but I'm sure Detective Chase Cooper solved the case in 44 minutes. Frank's talking now, but I can't understand what he's saying. His voice sounds like the teacher from the Peanuts movie, which Mama and I watched together. Wah, 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 wah. I nod my head every now and then to the polite and respectful. Frank has some real wacky theories about what might have happened to Mama so whoever he starts speculating like this, I turn to my internal Charlie Brown's teacher translator. Speculating is like when poorly educated police detectives make dumb guesses about a case without having an evidence. Use it in a sentence, Button, I imagine Mama saying. Frank needs to get off his big round behind, stop speculating about what happened that day, and go find Mama before it's too late. Frank glances over at the clock and lets out of his "this isn't getting us anywhere" sighs because he knows I'm not listening anymore. Your father's probably waiting for you outside, he says. You know, Riley, it's been nearly 4 months now. I'd much rather you tell me what happened on your own. But if you can't or won't, I can help you fill in some of the blanks if you let me. Oh, crap, I know what Frank's talking about from the cop show on TV. It's when they start telling the perp what they think happened. They make their accusations over louder and louder until the perp finally confesses. How's the case going? I asked, changing the subject. Any new leads? New information? Have you found their car yet? Frank inhales slowly, then releases a long stream of sour-smelling air through puckered lips. There's no new information, Riley. You know that. He stands and waves me toward the door. If you remember anything before I see you again, have your dad call me, okay? It is very important. I get up and walk out, shaking my head so Frank knows what a disappointment he is to me. What are we paying these people for? What are we paying these people for? With Daddy's hard-earned tax dollars if they can't even find my Mama.